On today's show, we do a deep dive breakdown for extended series, and will McDavid see a mid-series hobby bump after his heroic performances in Game 4 and 5 of the Cup Final? We'll get into all of that and more on today's edition of the Hockey Card Haven podcast. Let's dive in. Hello and welcome. This is episode number 8 of the Hockey Card Haven podcast with Mike Distefano and Anthony Santini, here to dive deep into the world of hockey card collecting, flipping, and investing. It's crazy. We're already on to episode 8 here, Anthony. Where's the time? It's been 2 months since we started this thing. Feels like it was just yesterday we just hopped on the mic and started chatting.
Oh, buddy, it's the Ovi episode. I mean, like we said, we're still building that chemistry, so I like it. The episodes are getting better week by week. And, we're heading into the dog days, too. I mean, the off season's right around the corner, but, I mean, without a doubt, that was probably one of the best games that we just watched, the Stanley Cup Finals, so I'm fired up to get into it.
Yeah, I mean, peek behind the curtain. We're recording this Tuesday night right after the final buzzer of game number 5, where we saw the Edmonton Oilers staying alive. Massive game from Connor McDavid. 4-point night for McJesus. I think he's now, 5 points back of that Gretzky record for most points in a single playoff. It's unbelievable. I mean, like, what this guy has been able to do the last couple of games. And hot take here. This is my hobby take. I think we're going to see a nice little surge in the next few days on Connor McDavid cards. Well, we talk about before how it's, you might not see a whole lot of movement, I suppose, in the Stanley Cup final. But I think after what we just witnessed and a guy who's about to encroach on Gretzky records, I mean, he already did surpass his most assists in a playoff run record. And now he's closing in on that points record, which I don't know about you, but that just seemed like just a record that no one was going to touch ever. Like 47 points in a
Yeah,
playoff. People barely reached 30 realistically any other season. And this guy's up already over 40 points. I think he's got 42 now after that empty netter. It's unbelievable. And I think the hobby is going to take note. And prior to the puck drop for next game, I think we'll see some nice sales of some Connor McDavid stuff.
and it feels like, because we talked about it earlier on in the series when it was first getting started. I don't know if you remember. I think it was like a FanDuel bet boost of some sort. But we were talking about, could McDavid get to that 47-point mark? And I didn't really think it to be true, but we're staring down Game 6 right now, heading back to Edmonton. The Oilers could be coming back, and McDavid could be breaking history. I mean, me personally, on a one-to-one basis, on a conversation with you, I would say, yeah, it's going to make sense if McDavid prices do rise. But I don't know, like we've said so many times, in 8 episodes worth of it, I don't know if the hobby is going to react in that, certain way.
I think they will, though. That's what I'm saying. I think that they're going to. I really do believe that we'll see. People are just going to FOMO. It's just going to happen. They're going to see guys breaking records. And I think that McDavid's going to see a lot of sales over the next little bit prior to the puck drop for Game 6. I think the hobby's going to get a little stir crazy over the next few days. There's 3 days between games. Lots of time for people to put some 48 or 72 hour, eBay postings and try and get some people to bid up on some McDavids. I really do believe that we're going to see it happen. But what I can say, I think if we tie, what we're seeing right now and tie it back into the hobby, as we always like to do here on the Hockey Card Haven podcast, I think we'll see McDavid's floor grow. I think regardless of whatever happens, because of how well he's played here and now he's going to be up in the, when it comes to this playoff record, even if he doesn't beat Gretzky, it's him, Lemieux, and Gretzky as the only players who've ever gotten to 40 plus points in a playoff season. Like, what this guy has done this year, I think legitimately will put him in a point where the floor has to increase. I don't think we'll be able to get PSA 10s for as low as 24, 20, $2,200 anymore, even in the off season, even when it's a dip. I think we'll see floors in the 3,000 range, and then it'll only kind of go up from there. I think we will see at the very least his floor increase and kind of stick at that level So if you didn't get a McDavid, I guess, if you don't have a PSA 10 McDavid, I'm not sure you'll be able to scoop one up for as cheap as maybe people figured they might be able to in the summer, especially not if they come through and win the championship.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'd agree and say that his floor will definitely see an increase. I don't know about his price right now, but looking in the future, even just down the road, I'd say you hit the nail on the head to say that if you didn't pick one up in that $3,000 mark, I don't think you're going to find one for much cheaper. Even looking forward 6 months from now, we're going to look back and say, okay, whatever did happen, either McDavid led the Oilers back to win the cup down 3-0, or you know what, he went out and he went down swinging, broke Gretzky's record or came very close to it. There's no reason for his PSA 10 to drop under 3,000 because there was a time in that second, third round where we were almost flirting with under 3,000. Like it was 31, 3,200. And I know that might not be close to anywhere close to 2,400. But when we're talking about 10% decreases in the market in the span of an offseason, that's where his prices could sit if it really came down to it. So I'm hoping that we could see 36, 37, maybe crack that $4,000 mark for a PSA 10, but we'll see here. I got my eyes on Draisaitl though, because to me, he looked hurt tonight. I don't know if you noticed that, but he did not look good.
No, I mean, it's he's for a few games here. It's been a few games where Draisaitl hasn't been himself, and it's been the McDavid show.
Yeah,
Realistically, the last couple
seriously.
games here, that's back to back points is the most points anyone's ever put up in a 2 game span in a cup final. Like it's unbelievable what he's done the last couple of games here. But he's had to because his partner in crime, Leon Draisaitl, there's clearly
Yeah.
something up with him, and he's not healthy. I think I noticed it a couple of games ago. I'm like, he just doesn't look right. Just doesn't look right. Someone texted me and he's like, "Oh, Draisaitl floating into Marner territory with the way that he showed up here in this in the Stanley Cup final." And I'm like, "Yeah, but at least Draisaitl, you could tell that there's an injury. Where
Yeah.
Marner, it's just between the ears, unfortunately." But what are you watching for? Just like hobby wise, or just in general? You mean?
I mean, even just on the ice, like watching him play, it looked like he was almost playing a little bit timid tonight. And I wanted to bring that point up too, because I want to expand a little bit. We've talked so much about McDavid and his market, and I feel like we haven't taken a deep dive too much into the other Oilers players, like even Stuart Skinner, Bouchard, who we've seen his price increase. But even just to touch on some of the more notable players like Dylan Holloway, Evan Bouchard, Darnell Nurse, Stuart Skinner, some of these players, I don't think they're, and I'll let you get to your point, but I don't think some of those players that have, played well in the playoffs and helped the Oilers get to where they are, their market hasn't really reflect, how much they've meant to this playoff run.
Oh, have you seen what Bouchard's
I,
price
I,
is
I
at?
and I do want to say that Bouchard's price is maybe out of the equation, but Darnell Nurse, Stuart Skinner, Dylan Holloway, I really haven't seen any.
Stuart Skinner's gotten a decent uptick too, I would say.
I
I don't
mean,
know, like, I don't know if those guys necessarily just get Hobby Love in general. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
Darnell Nurse, I mean, the guy has been on the ice for a lot of goals. He hasn't played well. Holloway's an interesting player, and Holloway's a kinda guy where this is probably like a summer topic when we talk about guys who are secretly going to be stashing. Holloway might be on my short list of dudes who I'm
hmm,
gonna wanna start kinda picking up a bunch of
yeah.
his cards and, hope that he has a bit of a big breakout next year or the year after. He's someone who I think the goals aren't necessarily piling up, but he plays the game the right way. Could tell you that, and I think he'll be a fan favorite for a while in Edmonton. So, yeah, maybe we won't see that, see his market take a massive boost here through the playoffs, but I think eventually Holloway will see something.
Yeah, I think people will catch on too. Like, I don't know what your game plan might be, but would you ride the wave to say, okay, if you could hop on a line with McDavid, that's where the hobby love? Because, I mean, dude, look at what just happened to Zach Hyman this season. That was absolutely ridiculous. He was probably what, like a $5 to $10 young gun? I mean, I don't think he was ever like $1 young gun, but definitely
No,
under $10, right?
I mean, when he was in Toronto, yeah, he was like $5 to $10, and
Yeah.
then he moved to Edmonton, and then he was 15, 20 ish, and then this year it exploded. Obviously, he was going for
Oh,
like
dude.
50 to 60
nuclear close,
rod,
yeah.
200 in a PSA 10. It was wild what those cards got to, but he put up 50 goals. I don't believe Dylan Holloway is a 50 goal scorer. I don't know if he's got that type of that type of juice in him. But I
Yeah.
mean, if he ends up playing alongside one of Draisaitl or McDavid, he is kind of a sneaky pickup, I think, throughout the offseason. Maybe not necessarily right now in the middle of a playoff run. Probably wouldn't be a smart pickup if you're thinking for a long-term play on it. But come the summertime, we'll get to it. I mean, we'll have episodes talking about some kind of secret pickups we're stashing away, and I think he'll probably come up in that episode. Why don't we get to let's get to our hobby news, because there's a lot to get into. We've got Extended was supposed to come out technically last week is when it was supposed to release. That was the initial release date. And then it got pushed another week and was supposed to come out today. But guess
Yeah.
what, Anthony? Pushed back another week, and it's not coming out until next Wednesday now. So next Wednesday, we're going to see the series, extended series, get released. We do now, though, have the checklist, and we got some visuals of what this checklist looks like and what some of the cards look like. So I'm going to pull it up a little bit here,
Yeah.
and then we can kind of just go through and we could talk about it. Where did I put this? There it is, right there.
I mean, even still, although you mentioned like it is late, it was late, what, I guess 2 weeks now. I mean, this checklist is unreal. I'm pretty happy with it. I wasn't happy at first, but we'll take a deep dive into it and we're gonna get into it later. But dude, I think this is gonna be a pretty good checklist considering it is, extended.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll let's go through it here. So pretty much we'll get through the overview and then we could dive deep into what actual cards and inserts and cool things are within the series. So as always, it's going to be the exact same thing you got in Series 1 and Series 2 with the new reconfigured packs. 12 packs per hobby box. You're going to get 3 hits per pack. You're guaranteed 6 young guns or first round rookies. So that's a combination. 6 young guns or first round rookies. You'll also get 6 retro inserts or parallels. You'll get 4 canvas and 4 seeing red inserts. You'll get 6 silver skates and UD3 card inserts, and you'll get 1 of each of a Dazzler, an SPX retro, and a PETG insert. So that's what you're going to expect every time you rip into a box of Extended. And I was calling around, I was chatting with a couple of stores. I was in, I think, 3 different hobby shops over the course of the weekend, and I was just curious what the price was, what they were going to be charging for their pre-release, I suppose, for Extended if they wanted to pre-buy it. And then I got a bit of a wide range of numbers, anywhere from $199 actually to
Hmm.
$229. So which one do you think I pre-ordered?
I mean, definitely, it's got to be the 199.
I pre-ordered a
Definitely,
box at the place that told me 199. I was like,
I like
let
it.
me take a box. Let me
I
put me
like it.
down for a box of that. But yeah, so anywhere from 199 to 229 Canadian is kind of what I'm seeing even out online. Some of the big retailers like Clouts and Chara and 401 Games in that same ballpark. So that's pretty much what you're going to be paying for an extended series. And it's cheaper than what you had to pay for Series 2, but a little bit more expensive for what you had to pay for Series 1. But there's a heck of a lot of Bedards in here if that's what you're
Yeah.
doing. If you're chasing the Bedards and you're having fun with it, this is a pretty good product to chase. So let's take a look at what exactly you can get inside UD Extended. So obviously, the big chase is going to be the young guns, right? We all know that that's what you get with these flagship products. So very similar pack odds to what you've seen in Series 1 and 2. Slightly different because there's only actually 30 young guns as opposed to traditional 50 young guns inside Extended. And then the other 20 is the first round draft pick inserts as well. So that's why the pack odds are a little bit different. But you get a regular young gun in 1 in every 3.3 packs. You get a young guns canvas one in every 24 packs. So one in every 2 boxes, you should get a Young Guns canvas. A Young Guns clear cut, you'll get one in every 240 packs. A
Oh,
Young
wow.
Guns outburst, one in every 100 packs. And then you can get an 0708 retro Young Gun. That's one in every 6.7 packs. So, could get 2 per box, I suppose, if you're lucky. And then you've got your short prints, really, really short print. 0102 retro Young Guns. There was no odds on that because it's super short print. Same thing with the Young Guns acetates. And that's the picture you're looking at right here. This is the Connor Bedard Young Guns acetate, super short printed cards. The Young Guns acetate are very, very highly sought after Young Guns. And you damn well know that Bedsy will be one of the main chases again in this set, as he is obviously the top rookie on the acetate checklist. What are your thoughts here on all this, Anthony?
I mean, dude, it's super overwhelming. The one thing that stood out to me too before we get into Bedard is just how crazy the odds are to pull a clear cut. One in every 240 packs is crazy, man. So if
Well,
you're able,
think about it. There's 20 less Young Guns to pull too, so
yeah.
it's going to be even harder to pull any type of Young Gun / Young Gun parallel. So even harder to pull a clear cut, right?
Yeah, I do like how they also added the Bedsy acetate, which I believe we usually see in SP Authentic. I'm pretty sure Young Gun acetates are in SP Authentic. I believe,
They
or in
used
it,
to be. That's kind of what extended is turned into. It's kind of
right. So I think last year was
so there are Young Guns acetates in Authentic. So it's a 98 card checklist, and basically it's the 49 Young Guns from Series 1 and the 49 Young Guns from Series 2. And my assumption is that the 30 Young Guns that you get from this one, so like the Fantilli
yeah.
and Cooley and Coolidge, will go over the Anthony's got a top 5 that he's going to tell you that he thinks are the
Yep.
top 5 Young Guns. I believe their acetates, because they weren't on the checklist, will be in SP Authentic. So I think that's how they're doing it now. They're going to give you
I
Series 1 and 2 acetates in this one, and then in Authentic SPA, you'll get the extended series acetates.
I kind of like the idea though of like always developing. You know what I mean? Like it seems like Upper Deck is always developing. There's obviously a new system that they kind of have right now that's always changing. Almost like they're taking customer
Feedback.
feedback, taking it in, switching up their game plan because for the first time ever, people are going to consider buying extended and it feels like in years past, maybe you pick up a box for a good price or maybe just to rip it cuz it is the cheaper option, but there's never really been, like, players that you're after, players that you're really saying, "You know what? This
Yeah.
is a guy that I want a PC. This is the guy that I'm gonna collect long term. This is the guy that I wanna create a rainbow of." Like, we don't really see an extended some of these big name players like we're gonna see this year.
Yeah, and I think they realize that, and a lot of if you go to any hobby shop, you could probably find the last 2 years of extended still sitting on a shelf with a big fat sale price sticker on it, and it's
All the
still
time,
not moving.
all the time.
Still not moving. Like, I'm pretty sure last time I was in my LCS, you could pick up a box of extended from last year, maybe the year before, and it has like an $80 sticker for a hobby box, and people still aren't
Jeez.
grabbing it. Like, it's something that it just didn't appeal to anyone. And the first year they did extended, I think the best player that was in that class turned out to be like Michael Bunting and Arthur Kaliev. It's like, that's not great players. I think
Yeah.
Seth Jarvis was an extended player
Yeah.
in 21, 22. Like, there are a couple guys who, if you go down the checklist, you could find. But this year, much stronger checklist than ever before. Absolutely. So I think they wanted to make it a desirable product for everybody, right? Both aesthetically with the awesome and amazing cool inserts that are typically within this product, but also with the top tier rookies that are also going to be in it. And we'll go through some of the top rookies and in a little bit. So that's kind of your Young Guns overview. We'll kind of, like I said, return and do the top 5. Do you have something else you want to do to mention
Ye
here?
Yeah, to close out pretty much what we're gonna see for the young gun aspect of it, I'm a little bit disappointed that the 01, 02 retro young gun is a short print because I don't know if you have it in mind what it looks like right now, but
Oh,
for those of
I
you
know exactly what an 0102 looks
and,
like.
it's nice, it's the Datsuk year. It is a nice, template, if we wanna call it that, for the Young Gun design, but we've seen it before, right? Like, we've seen it before with the retros. I like how they did the '07, '08 retro Young Gun because I don't think we've ever seen that as a retro Young Gun with the modern players, but for them to pick '01, '02, I mean, it does look nice, right? I like it, looks good, but we've seen it before, right? Like I think we saw it just 2 years ago with Zegras and Caulfield that year. So I'm a little bit disappointed with that. So I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think they just kinda pick, like, a bunch of different year like, I know a couple years ago, they did the '05, '06 retro year, and then I think they did, like, '06, '07, and this year they're doing '07, '08, and then maybe the '01, '02 retro is always the short printed one, perhaps? I could be wrong, actually, I
The
can't remember exactly what the pack odds were for those ones,
yeah,
but, like, '01, '02, like, was a short printed rookie set, so I think it
in
is kinda
general,
cool
yeah, it was,
that
yeah.
they make that specifically, like, every year if they come out and they make the '01, '02 retro a short print. I think that'd be a cool reoccurring kinda theme, and then
Yeah.
for the regular ones that are 1 in, 6 or 7 packs, you pick one of the other years and, you use one of those. And these retro Young Guns, by the way, the '07, '08 is, both rookies and vets. So you can get
Oh,
some
that's kinda
veteran
cool.
retro Young Guns, which I mean, it's just, I guess, just an insert at that point for a veteran
Yeah,
retro young gun. But you got to be careful. Like, I don't know about you, but I feel like some people are like, if you're new to the hobby and you're looking through stuff, and let's say you see like
yeah, this
I don't
yeah.
know, let's say an Alex Ovechkin, retro young guns. And you just think, oh, Ovechkin, young guns, oh my god, in a $5 box, and you think you hit the lottery. I mean, if something's too good to be true, typically it is. So, and
Yeah,
I've seen people get too excited about these retro young guns, especially for the veteran ones, thinking that they've hit something
yeah.
miraculous. Not the case. They're quite quite easy to pull, I will
Yeah, I
say.
mean, I don't I off the top of my head, I don't remember too many, like, Young Gun tribute retros almost that have been worth a lot of money. I know there is that one, though, of Connor McDavid, and it's from the I think it's what would it be '05, '06, or '06, '07? It was
Yeah,
Crosby's and Ovi's year, and it where on the
that
side
was
it
sick.
says Young Guns, and I believe that one is worth not obviously as much as the Young Gun, which would make sense, but I think it's still worth, like, 1 to, like, $175, I
Could
think.
be. Could be, yeah. Yeah,
I'm
I
pretty
can't
sure
recall. We can look it up at some point and take a look, but that would be I could see that one being a quite, um, a lusted for
I mean,
card, let's
it's
say.
McDavid, right? Either
Exactly.
way, anything that does say Young Gun on it is gonna be desirable. Almost like any card of McDavid is desirable. It's always gonna be worth do we wanna even dare to say maybe a buck if it is in a top loader? I mean, could be a conversation for another day. Could be a play. Look in the summer. Should you pick up McDavid cards for a buck? I mean, we'll see if they
Dude,
win the chip.
McDavid's second-year base cards still consistently sell for, like, $5 to $10. It's
Dude, I
insane.
remember when they were like 15 bucks, man.
I
To
know.
hear that they're still like 5, 10 bucks is good though.
No, I mean, it's funny. I actually find it hilarious. Alright, let's continue here.
Yeah.
Take a look. We're doing our product breakdown of extended series. So that was the Young Guns, and now we take a look at the insert list, and this is another one that was kind of, one of the other specialty inserts here. Another Connor Bedard, Young Guns, I guess you could call it. But as per usual, you got your UD canvases, you've got your Dazzlers, you've got your Pop Count, and then they've got a bunch of new ones that they're going to be putting into this. So Seeing Red, they've got those retro Young Guns that we talked about, SPX Hollowview, Special Forces, 0304 Retro Beehive, '07-'08 Black Diamond Rookie Gems, which I actually love because '07-'08 Black Diamond, I opened up a ton of that as a kid. I remember, and I loved it. Just the set, trying to get the 4 diamond rookies. So that'll be really cool to kind of get that chase once again. A day with the cup, as per usual. Hollow GRFX Future Fame, and then the Swagnificent. I was looking at the Swagnificent checklist, by the way. It's so trash.
Oh,
It's
really?
so bad. Yeah, it was actually really upsetting how bad the checklist is. Let me see if I
Who
can
Off the
fine.
top of your head, who was the worst player?
That's
Not
what
the.
I'm
I
gonna
mean,
They were all terrible, like, honestly. So, off the top of my head, they were all pretty junk, if I gotta be completely honest
I
with
haven't.
you.
I don't even think I saw. I don't know if you. I don't think you sent it to me. So this would pretty much be my first reaction. That kind of sucks too, because last year I think was the first year that they promoted and did swag. How do I say it? Swagnificent. It's such like a tongue twister, but
Yeah,
it looked
they've done
cool.
it
Like
for a
even
few years, but it was more of, they've been doing it for, I think, the whole time Extended's been around, but it's just like a super short print. Like, it's very short print to card. I think it's like 1 in every 700 and something packs or something like that. So they're tough to get. They do it in, like, series 2 as well, so it's not
yeah,
just.
you had the Matthews, right?
Yeah, I got the Matthews one. I was like,
I think it was sick.
if there's one to get, it would be the Matthews. So I did get
Do you
a
remember
pretty
there was
solid
this
one.
Ovechkin one? I don't know what year it was from. Maybe like 1920, but it was Ovechkin holding like a puppy. I don't know if you've ever seen that one before.
I don't know if
I
I
almost
have
have to
either.
pull up a photo just because it is one of the cooler ones while you pull up that checklist.
I've got the checklist. I'm just trying to apparently I have to like get out of that other the slideshow that I had in order to get into to screen
Oh,
share this other thing. So that's what I'm doing now. Um, so here we go. So we got the checklist now. There we go. So Swagnificent photo variation. So it's Radko Gudis, Kyle Okposo, Freddie Anderson, Taylor Hall, Matthias Ekholm, Alex Duhook, Jonathan Quick, Jonas Korpisalo, Vladimir Tarasenko, Mike Hoffman, Anthony Duclair, Thomas Tatar, Ivan Barbashev, and Aiden Hill.
you know what this looks like to me? You know what this looks like?
What?
90% of this list looks like a TSN trade board for NHL trade deadline day. Like half of
Literally.
these players are just like Kyle Okposo, not Gudis, Hall, Ekholm, Newhook, Quick, Korpisalo, Tarasenko, Hoffman, Duclair, Tatar.
Who's who's
Are
collecting these people? Like,
like
who's collecting these
the
people?
only one that I would really want. I mean,
Is there anyone? I
I,
honestly,
I mean, actually, I don't think anyone like maybe Quick, but like he's not in the LA Kings jersey, so like I'm not really into it. Maybe Freddie Anderson, but like only because he was a Leaf. But like I
one in
really don't.
one
I think they dropped the ball on this.
one in every 864 packs. And then this is the one you get. Like, it's that short printed that if you're so lucky that your like your case
Yeah,
hit is a swagnificent photo variation, and it's one of these players, that's the case hit you get. I
I
would be
mean,
so cheesed.
dude, I couldn't even imagine that Mike Hoffman going for more than like what $5. Like I can't even
Legit.
imagine it.
Dude, I'm
I
pretty
don't know.
sure I only got like 60 for my Matthews. Like,
Yeah,
it's not
I
like
mean,
it's 800 packs to get a card like that. And you get a Matthews, and it's like, yeah, well, it's just not a desirable card, I guess. I don't know
so
what to tell you, but
so
yeah.
this was the
So,
photo I found it of the OV. So I don't know if you've seen it before.
oh, that's the suit variants.
So I don't know if it is it Swagnificent or is it a suit
No,
variant?
that's just a suit. That's just a suit variation.
I mean, those are still pretty cool though. I wasn't sure what it was. I guess that was from what year would that be?
They do it well. They
70.
do them every year. The suit variations. That's like just like an additional, um, I don't know, like insert of some kind.
Yeah.
Just
I
like
mean, either
variation.
way, before we close this out, I mean, look at that Bedard Young Guns retro. I wasn't happy with that 0102, but I think if you pull that thing, dude, how short printed it's gonna be, you're gonna be bringing it in. Like, dude, that's a nice looking card. That's a
That is
nice
nice.
looking card. I almost like that photo a little bit more than his regular Young Gun. I'm not a big fan of his regular Young Gun. I've said it a couple times now, but that's a pretty nice photo. This one here.
Dude, I'm gonna tell you how many different Connor Bedard cards there are in this set a little bit later. You'll be flabbergasted at the number. All right, next up, got some auto inserts, autographs in flagship. Very hard to get, I'll add, but you do got some autographs that are available to pull in flagship. So not bad. You got snow spray autos. I couldn't find a picture of the snow spray ones, but I'd imagine it's probably a guy and it's like a close up of the skates and he's spraying snow, and then the autograph is probably somewhere within the snow. And then the one that I'm showing here on screen, which is the 0708 Black Diamond Retro. So there's an emerald and a ruby. The emerald's out of 25. That's the one you're seeing here with Connor Bedard. And then a ruby, which is out of 10. So pretty sweet. So of the emerald and ruby, hold on, I did the math of how many there are. So 11 of the players are emerald, and then 20, no, sorry, 11 of them are ruby. So there's 11 that are out of 10, and then the remaining 22 of them are out of 25. Bedard is out of 25, and of the 33 total auto inserts that you can pull, 21 of them are rookies, and pretty good rookies, I might add as well. So if you do pull an auto, super, super hard to pull, obviously. You're going to be happy with the player you pull, I think
Yeah.
is pretty much what I'm getting at here. And especially if you pull that guy right there.
Oh,
Nice
dude.
Bedard Bedsy auto, actually in a Chicago Blackhawks sweater,
Finally.
which
No
we
more
haven't
Team
seen in a
Canada.
lot. Yeah, he's been a lot of Team Canada. You actually pull. Now, I believe that looks like it is a sticker still.
Yeah, it is. I
So
was gonna say something too.
I don't love that. I don't love that it's a sticker product,
Yeah.
especially if it's only at a 25. You couldn't have just given this guy the 25 cards and had them just hard sign them. It's not like he's got to sign a billion of them. So that I do think is a bit of a misstep for such a short printed card. But either
Mhm.
way, that'd be a sick pull. Absolutely a sick pull.
Dude, I just love the Chicago jerseys. I've always loved them too. Like, you know me,
Yeah.
I'm a big Patrick Kane guy. So, like, every Bedard card I see, the jersey looks better and better. And even looking back at the acetate, I believe 2 years ago, I remember because of the Owen Power Young Guns acetate, they're in their third jersey. And if you remember, I think I texted you last week and I said, I wish Chicago had an alternate jersey because usually for the acetates, they do use the alternate jersey for the photo. So, like, imagine
Mhm.
having the regular Bedard Young Guns, the canvas Young Guns, him holding his own, Young Gun from Series 1, and then also the acetate with an alternate jersey. Like, dude, you would have the full Chicago Blackhawks experience of that. But either way, I mean, I'm pretty happy with this right now. Dude, like, I'm fired up. I almost want to go and camp out and buy myself a box. Like,
It's
people
pretty
need to
good.
be buying cases of this stuff, dude.
Yeah, it's pretty solid. Like I think you're definitely getting a good product. They did a really good job with this one this season. So this to me might be the biggest chase card of them all. What do you think? This
Oh,
is the one of one gold outburst of the Connor Bedard draft card. So obviously the one of one gold Young Guns is already out there. It hasn't been pulled yet. The $1 million bounty card, it has not been pulled yet.
yeah.
But what type of like bounty do you think this may have on it? It's not going to be a million. And I don't know if anyone's going to put a bounty on it, but like that is a card. What? Whoops. That
No,
is a
you're good.
card that I would imagine will be highly, highly sought after. And whoever rips that open, boy, they got a big old payday coming their way.
If I were to assume, I mean, like you said, I don't know if there will be a bounty, but I feel like a $50,000 price tag fair for that? I mean, it's a nice card. It's a good looking card. It's a one of one. I don't think it's going to come anywhere close to the Young Gun.
No,
Nowhere close. But I
no.
feel like, if you rip a box for 200 bucks, if you rip a case that costs you 1200 or whatever it might be, and you come out with this and someone offers you 50K, I think I'm taking it. And I'm laughing all the way to the bank. Like
Would you take
right all
20?
the way to the bank. I'm laughing.
Would you take 25K?
I don't think so. I mean, it's still a one-on-one Bedard, and like you know me, I almost look at how the card looks aesthetically too. Like
Hmm.
it's a nice photo, wearing the suit, wearing the jersey, draft day Nashville 23. No helmet on, nice smile. It's a nice card. It's straight up, depending on the condition, could always be, how I make my decision. But me personally, I guess maybe I'm thinking into it too much. If someone offers me 25K for a sports card, I'm probably gonna take it. Actually, you know what? I think my parents would force me to take it, but I don't know if I was in a position where I could hold on to it. I think I would hold on to it because, dude, that's a nice looking card.
This is something maybe you send out to Golden to
Huh.
Kenny Golden put this up
Oh,
on his auction site. See if you can
and ju
get a big bid going.
and just wait till we get into that because if you haven't watched, we mentioned it last week. Ken Golden, is it the Golden Touch or no? King of
No,
Collectibles is out
yeah, King
now. Yeah, I've been grinding it. It's been good. There's like 10 episodes, and we're gonna get
mm,
into it in another episode when the season's over. And I'm fired up because I'd like to do like a nice 10-minute breakdown because I've liked it, dude. I've enjoyed it. I don't know if you've watched it yet, but I feel like you're gonna like it even more than I have. It's
yeah.
great. Man. It's
Yeah,
really
no,
good.
I crushed the first season, and then this one I'm about. I think I watched the first 3 episodes of it,
Yep.
and yeah, I mean this is right up my alley. So
Yeah, it's perfect.
I'm gonna finish it over the next couple of weeks, and then we'll do like I guess
Yep.
not a book review, but like a TV series review. I guess
Yeah.
is what we would call it.
Yep.
When things kind of die down, and it's kind of an evergreen topic, we could talk about it. But yeah, this is the type of card that I think like this is a big chase, right? Like
Yeah.
it's a Carbonard 101 gold outburst. And look, there's a bunch of 101 Bedards. Technically, there's going to be printing plates of Bedard. So it's not the only one of one out there, but it is a gold outburst, right? And that's not going to be it's the only gold outburst that he's going to have outside of the $1 million bounty that is yet to be discovered, apparently.
Yeah.
So I think this might be the biggest chase out there. It could be. People might say that the acetate would be one that people would prefer to have over this, just because it's definitely a card that is considered more of like a legacy card, the acetate Young Guns. But this would be pretty sick to have too in the collection. I might
It's a
add.
nice card.
But
Yeah.
yeah, either way, I think overall I'm very happy with what they did with this product. Like I know it's a product that I've kind of pooped on before. I have not really loved Extended. I think I had a bad, sour taste in my mouth from the first year they did it. It just seemed like okay, it made sense year one because they had so many guys play because of COVID, where they had like 100 rookies, like 150 rookies, and they just needed somewhere to put these guys. So they said, all right, we'll come up with a new product and we'll just kind of throw them out there. Whoever played towards the end of the year because of COVID, essentially, and they had a bunch of dudes who just had to play because people were taking weeks off at a time for isolation and whatnot. It made sense. And then they came back and did the next year and the next year. And now it's like, I don't know if we need to keep doing this, guys. But if they're going to give us some really cool inserts and hits and big chase cards like this, then I'm on board. I certainly am on board. And I think they also kind of strung us along, obviously, by not inserting one of either or both, actually, of Fantilli and Cooley into Series 1 or into Series 2, and they waited and gave us a big Young Guns chase for Extended. That also helped, too, which they hadn't really done in the past.
Yeah, I think it was better. Like, we're gonna get into it. I don't know if we're gonna touch up on my top 5, what I wanna talk about, but we've only pretty much focused primarily on Bedard, and that's already as good as is. Acetate Young Gun, big hits in there, like the 101 that we just talked about, a massive short printed retro Young Gun on top of already retro Young Guns. Like, if
So
you're looking for
there are 46 different Connor Bedard
oh,
rookie cards available in this set. This set alone.
imagine if
With
Slab
like
Shark
8
still
different
had
Young Guns parallels. Like 8 or
imagine if
9.
Slab Shark still had that 98% little like sale going on where you could still get most of your margin whenever you sell on Slab Sharks. That would be crazy, dude.
That would be. That would be wild. All right, so why don't we get into it? Actually, let's hear your top 5 rookie chases for extended series. Obviously, we know that there was a bunch of great rookies in Series 1, and then Series 2 was obviously highlighted by Connor Bedard. But there are some really solid rookies. I think the class is quite strong, and I'm curious to see who you've chosen as kind of the top 5 chase cards for extended series. Now, before we get into the names, how exactly did you put together your list? Did you do it based on your projected values? Did you do it based on just player, like actual how you think they're going to be as a hockey player? Like, how did you rank this? What is your definition for the ranking?
I like how you actually asked the question too, because I was gonna explain it. So the way that, and I was tied up a little bit between two players, and we'll get into it, but how I kind of played it is that in the future, maybe a year, 2 years, 3 years down the road, who I think will be most valuable coming out of this set. Like when you talk about when you're at the expo 3 years from now and you're looking at a player from this set, who's going to be that guy that makes you pick up that box and chase that high gloss, for example, or you see a sealed case and you're like, oh, that's the case of blank. You know what I mean? So that's
Mhm.
kind of what my thought process was. And then everyone after number one just kind of trickles down away from it. And, I don't want to say this is from what I've heard. This is from what, even just watching like sports networks, people talking about these players. Maybe I have a little bit of a bias to some of these players, and that's why I ordered them accordingly. But hey, like I said, it's my top 5 list. So without further ado, I'm ready to go.
All right, hit me with it. Who you got? Let's go 5 through 1. Who you got at number
So
5?
starting at number 5, we're going Matthew Savoy, stud. If you remember this guy, most people won't even know him for the player he is, but from a popular video, I think it was like 5, 6 years ago. I don't even know if you've seen it or connected the two,
I
of a
have.
guy wheeling down the right side of the ice, absolutely wheeling. Like this guy was guns a blazing. It could have been like 5, 6 years ago when people were talking about him, right? I don't know if
It was
you
in,
know the
it was
video,
in
but
Boston, right?
yeah, and like,
Yeah.
dude, people were all over this kid, and then it only took me, I think, maybe a couple years to realize and put two and two together. And it happens so many times where you remember, prospects, videos, things exactly like that, and then connecting it to them when they actually get drafted or they're in the league. So Matthew Savoy is my clear cut number 5. I feel like he's going to be a good young gun to have for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, Savoy of the Buffalo Sabres forward, really solid prospect. He was taken in the first round, not last year, but the year
Yeah,
before. I want
I
to
think it was
say, yeah,
the.
maybe it was
Oh, I
last
think
year.
I think it was the Owen Power draft, so that'd be 22. I think.
No, it was definitely not the Owen Power draft. I think it might have been the year, like the Slavkovsky draft. I want to say, I
Let's see.
believe that was it.
We got the
Um,
internet for us.
But I remember watching this kid play when he was young. He was like 14 years old, I think. I watched him play at the Canada Games. And then he was actually, when I did that thing for TSN, the CHL Top Prospects game, I remember playing against Matthew Savoy.
Oh,
Um,
yeah?
yeah. So, screw him. They lost. Not his fault, though.
So,
Shane Wright was also on that team. They lost.
that's pretty sweet. We
But
like
yeah,
we like Shane Wright, though. We like Shane Wright. But
yeah,
anyways, yeah, he was drafted 9th in the 2022 draft, and you were spot on, the Slavkovsky draft.
yeah.
I'd say a pretty good pick. We haven't seen too much of him, but I'm gonna place him at my number 5 spot
Yeah.
for
He's got
extended.
talent. Like he's got talent, and he can put up points, and ultimately
Yeah.
points sells when it comes to the hobby and the hockey card market. Like goals are first, man. Points are second, and this guy can score and he can get points. And I think he's in a good market in Buffalo, and I think that he's on a team that is on the rise. So I think it checks a lot of boxes for a player in a market that has some expected hobby love to come to him. So I like it, and for sure he's one of the top chases. Who you got at number 4?
So at number 4, I'm not going too far away. Staying with the Buffalo Sabres prospects from that same draft year, drafted 28th overall, Yuri Kulich. And for those of you that don't know him too well, I actually had the pleasure of watching Yuri Kulich in this tournament. I don't remember exactly what the name was, but to sum it up, it was one of the first shifts I worked at TSN 2 years ago, early morning shift, 7 a.m. He was playing in a tournament like in Sweden, and he was
It,
kind of like the
it was
talking point.
probably the U18 Gretzky Holenka, I would imagine.
Yeah, that was exactly what it is. Yes, exactly. So we were working the Holinka. It was actually a lot of fun to do that. Shout out Kamada. We were doing that together. He was teaching me. I was still training, and I was watching Coolidge, and I was like, man, this guy is absolutely ridiculous. Like he almost has a little bit of a, for a comparison for anyone that hasn't heard of him, almost a Patrick Laine-esque game to him. I'd say a little bit more, of a power horse. And that's kind of what Line is missing in his game, I think, at least right now. So Kulich is someone that, and like I mentioned before, I was flip-floppy if I should put him 3 or 4, but I feel like, the 3rd place, I'll be pretty happy with it. But Kulich is my 4, and I'm good with it. What do you think?
I think he definitely deserves to be in the top five. I might have had him a little bit higher. Well, one spot higher. I think I probably would have done the flip flop. I would
Yeah.
imagine. Who do you got at number three though? Who was the guy who you put ahead of Yuri Kulich?
So my number 3 was Nemec, and I know we haven't seen too much of him either. Obviously, all these guys are still young. The only guy that we have seen a lot of, if you wanna say, is
Simon Nemec of the New Jersey Devils, by the way.
yes. Yes,
Okay.
correct, sorry. And like you said, or like I said, sorry, we haven't seen too much of him yet, but for a reason, he was drafted so early, and that right shot defenseman that the New Jersey Devils need. He played a little bit at the end of the season, I believe, and even leading up to them trying to get into the playoffs. I think he was in the lineup for pretty much every game. He played good. There's more to his game, a lot that could be developed, and we know just how valuable right shot defensemen are. The only thing that kind of really shook me off putting him at number 3 was him being, a defenseman compared to Coolidge being a goal scoring forward. And when we look at, prices in the market, it doesn't matter if a player is more popular. It's really that forward and that goal scoring forward that really drives, prices.
Yeah, which is ultimately why I probably would have had both Coolidge and Savoy, or Coolidge and Savoy over Nemec, just because your point you just made, like defensemen just don't get a lot of hobby love,
Yeah.
like and if they do, it's because they're scoring and putting up a whole bunch of points, like Cale Makar or Quinn Hughes, or what we're seeing Evan Bouchard do right now. I'm not sure Simon Nemec is necessarily that guy. Like even growing up, I'm looking at what he
Yeah.
was doing in the Slovakian league. I mean, just ahead of his draft class, he had 2 goals 1 year, 1 goal his draft year. And then he did play in the AHL his rookie season as an 18-year-old and did kind of cook there with 34 points, 12 goals in 65 games, but
Hmm.
played 60 games in the NHL this past season, only had 19 points, 3 goals through 60 games. That being said, he's only 20 years old. So there is tons of time for him
Oh,
to
yeah.
grow and develop into, the defenseman that the New Jersey Devils were hoping to get when they took him second overall in what we are now calling the Savoy and Coolidge draft. But Simon Nemec, yeah, will he turn out to be a better player and a more impactful player in the NHL than both Coolidge and Savoy? Absolutely. I 100% think
Yeah.
that will
No, I
probably end
agree.
up being the case. But for hobby, I think when you look at the boxes that need to be checked in terms of what creates hobby value, I think Coolidge and Savoy are a little bit higher up on my ranking, but Nemec still pretty solid prospect. Who do you got at
Yeah.
number two?
I was just gonna finish up and say it's tough for these defensemen. Like even when we look at Noah Dobson, a player that had a great season, like yeah, his stuff is still worth some money, but we haven't really seen that pop. Like I don't know what makes Cale Makar so different. Obviously, breaking records, winning the cup already early in his career, but there's no reason for him to be almost a $250 young gun, and then Noah Dobson and be a $5 young gun. Anyways, conversation for another day. I'm looking forward to number 2, and although it's not as much of a coin flip between Coolidge and Nemec, I feel like both players are just as good, 1 and 2 here, but number 2, I'm putting Logan Cooley. He's gonna be a good chase, especially coming into a new team, Utah. It's gonna be super exciting, super cool. He's always been known to be flashy before coming into the league, and almost gonna be a hobby sweetheart, I think, too, because growing up, all these pre NHL interviews, we've seen, his personality and how funny he is, how cool he is. And I actually watched a couple interviews because I was working the game that he pulled, I believe, when he was playing for the US. He pulled that Michigan move. So for me, I've always had my eye on him, and I think he's going to be one of the top chases for sure in extended.
Yeah, 100%. He was one of the guys who was like a big time holdover that was a Series 2 snub so that
Yeah.
they could make sure that there were, a couple of chases to be had in series, extended series. But yeah, he's going to be a beast. I mean, he had 20 goals this year as a
Yeah.
rookie, his first season playing pro hockey coming out of college. 20 goals, 24 assists, and he's only going to get better. And
I,
like you said, he's going to a new market, which, I think I feel like it's going to actually help the the hobby by bringing in this entire new fan base into hockey cards potentially, and they're going to be chasing the rookies. So I think that this is Logan Cooley will surely be somebody who I think will be highly sought after, and especially if he continues to develop the way that we
Oh,
expect him
yeah.
to.
Yeah,
Number one,
I
no,
was
go
gonna
ahead.
say too on Cooley, I don't know, I'm sure you've seen it, but his Young Guns canvas already did release. I'm not a big fan of
He
how
did
it
too.
looks.
Hmm.
It's kind of a little bit ugly. It doesn't look great. Obviously has his photo there, but this PSA 10 actually just sold for $76. So I'm really interested to see what his regular Young Gun will go for because
Well, a lot more than that.
that's a crazy comp. Anyways, moving on to number one, like we said, not a coin flip here, just as good of a player, but I feel like Adam Fantilli is going to be the number one guy. When you're looking 5 years down the road, you see this box at the expo walking by with whatever price tag it might be, you're going to be like, oh, that's where I can pull Adam Fantilli. That's the Adam Fantilli box. And I feel like they're going to drive it accordingly. Yeah, like there's still going to be that Bedard acetate, the Bedard retro, but we know that retros and acetates aren't really the main chase in boxes. They're great. Don't get me wrong. You can still get the 101. There's lots of options.
You give me a acetate over a regular Young Gun all day long, pal.
Yeah, I mean, considering how rare they are, I mean, I don't think you're really going to be opening up these boxes. Yeah, you will be hoping for an acetate, but I don't think it's what you're going to be expecting. You know what I
Well,
mean?
no. But we talk about chase. That's what you're
Yeah,
chasing is
yeah,
the
it's true.
acetates,
That's true.
right? But I get what you're saying.
Yeah. No, I mean, I feel like Fantilli's game's going to develop. It's going to be offensive. Columbus is kind of in that groove right now where they're 1 year away from being 1 year away from being 1 year away. So
They
maybe
just
a
fired
couple
their
years.
coach. They just fired
Yep.
their coach. So
Making
we'll
some big
see.
changes. So I'm optimistic about Columbus. Maybe they can figure out what's going on with Goudreau. I just saw a stat today too. 10 years, 10 different coaches, which is ridiculous. Maybe they can figure out what's going on there, but I'm going to look forward to trying to rip some boxes to get some Fantilli here.
Yeah. So Adam Fantilli, top Young Guns chase, followed by Logan Cooley, Simon Nemec, Yuri Kulich, and Matthew Savoy. Was there any honorable mentions you want to give a quick mention to that you thought about putting on the list?
No one too much for the list. I'd say almost just to bring them up. So there's three players, and I had Ryan Winterton, who I met before in Mississauga. He's from the area here. Good little player, plays for Seattle. He got called up last year, that same game when Shane Wright got called up. He played with my buddy Davis on the Hamilton Bulldogs. Believe he went to the high school just in the area. So he's someone I'm looking after to see if I can pick up a couple of him. Second overall, almost a little bit funnier, if I want to say it. Magnus Krona, who is the goalie, I believe, for the San Jose Sharks. In around November, December, he got called up to the NHL. His girlfriend made a TikTok, and it was pretty much almost like a day in the life or get ready with me to watch my boyfriend's first NHL game. And she pretty much did all that. She did like it was a nice video, good editing, all that stuff. And then he just got peppered by the Oilers. Like I think it was his first NHL game. He lost 5-0, got pulled right away. And then at the end of the video, like in the comments, she was just getting like toasted in the comments. Like I felt terrible, but he is a pretty good goalie. Like me and Eric were watching some of his highlights, so it's a little bit disappointing, but I definitely have my eye on him.
A couple of guys who I think are going to be pretty solid here. Isaac Rosen, also the Buffalo Sabres. If you're buying into breaks, the Buffalo Sabres, I think, are
That's
going to
gonna be
be a
good.
really good team to get breaks for because
Sneaky
you've got
good.
Isaac Rosen, you've got Yuri Kulich, you've got Matthew Savoy. I think Ryan Johnson's on this list too. Another first round pick defenseman that they had. Yeah, there is at 719 for Ryan Johnson. So you've got like four legitimate young guns that you can grab from the Buffalo Sabres. Ivan Miroshnichenko is a really, really solid prospect for the Washington Capitals. I think
Yeah.
that's a top prospect. Martin Pospisil played excellent for the Calgary Flames in the final couple of months there. So I think he's a really good chase for them. I mean, you could also kind of take a look. Linus Karlsson plays in a really good market for Vancouver. Ended up getting in to a couple of games here in the playoffs. And I played pretty well. Some Vancouver fans were quite pleased by what he was able to do. Riker Evans is a decent player as well for the Seattle Kraken. Jaden Struble, not bad. Had a good
Yeah,
college
Struble
career.
good actually.
Played well in the World Juniors. But here's a very interesting one, actually. There's two. Dylan Garand, however you say it, and Dennis Hildeby. You know what's interesting about those two players in particular? Neither actually played an NHL game,
Hmm,
yet do have cards coming out, their young guns coming out and extended. Interesting.
that is weird because isn't usually, and I know you want to take it from here, but isn't usually the criteria to get a young gun is you have to play in an NHL game? Isn't that it?
Well, I wonder if instead of the verbiage that we've always said, have to play in an NHL game, if dressing in an NHL
Ah,
game
I
is
guess
good
it
enough.
counts. Yeah.
So they did not play in NHL games, but they did dress as backups and sat on the bench. So I think that is enough because they were on the main roster and the NHL roster for a game day and got paid big boy money. Therefore, I'm guessing they were fair game to get some young guns.
If
Um, but
if
that's the
you
lone Maple Leaf on the checklist, Dennis Hildeby. So I wonder if they also were like, we got to get a Maple Leaf in here. Like
yeah,
it's the biggest hockey market. Let's put Hildeby in there just because he's the only possible rookie. And I will say this. So I saw a lot of people online being like, "Oh, how come you didn't have some of the big chases? Like, how come Cutter Gauthier wasn't on there? How come you didn't get who's the kid from Dallas, Stankoven?" A lot of
Dennis,
people
yeah,
pissed that Logan Stankoven
yeah,
was not included on this checklist. Like Lane Hudson, also who played well for Montreal down the stretch. Matt Rempe, lots were
yeah.
expecting Matt
That's
Rempe
another one too.
to be on to be here. And I'll say this: two things. One, you gotta have some chases and some holdovers for Series 1 next year. So
Yeah.
that might be part of it. But two, there's actually a cutoff date. Now I emailed Upper Deck asking them what the cutoff date was. Apparently, it's not information that they try to make public. However, I do remember a couple of years ago, um, there was a cutoff date, and it was like mid-February for when players had to make their debut before
Yeah.
being eligible for extended. And if they had made their debut after that date, then they were going to get pushed to next year. So if you look at Stankoven, Gauthier, Rempe, Josh Doan, Lane Hudson, Frank Nazar, Akil Thomas, like all of these guys who, played this season, at least a game in the NHL, I believe all of their debuts came after February 1st, which would have been after that date that they set for, so they can get the pictures and get the print, get everything
Yep.
off to the printers and all that. So that's the reason for why some of those other stars, young players, are not in this series. And rest assured, they will be in big chases for Series 1 of 24-25. So that's kind of the in-depth overview of Extended. It was supposed to come out today. Now you got another week
Hmm.
to wait. So, hopefully we gave you a little bit of an overview for you to make a strong decision about whether or not you want to buy yourself a box or a case or whatever, a couple boxes maybe, rip this stuff, or if you just want to maybe grab a couple of the big time young guns, maybe you go and get yourself some Fantillis or Coolies or Cooliches. But Anthony and I will always say this: don't buy the young guns on release day. Do
No,
not buy
don't
the
do it.
singles.
Don't do
Don't
it.
buy any singles on release day. They always drop.
Yeah.
Don't FOMO and go and buy an Adam Fantilli on eBay. Buy it now for twice the price of what it's going to be a week from then. Just be
I
patient. You'll get it at a reasonable price. Trust me.
I I'll
Case
I'll
in
I'll
point, what was Bedard's rookie going for on release day? Do you remember?
probably like 1,500, I think.
$1,500. Do you know what that card is currently going for right now?
Like 3?
350, yeah. So you can wait, people. You
I'll
can wait.
I'll
Just a
I'll
little,
never
just a little food for thought.
I'll never forget on release day of Siri. It was the Zegras Caulfield year. I bought a case with Eric, and I ended up selling a Jeremy Swayman for $150 shipped. I'll never forget that. You could probably pick up a Swayman for $5 today, probably.
That was the year where hockey exploded, though. Like
Yeah, yeah,
Caulfield and Zegras, they were $300 a pop. Like
yeah,
you literally pick up Zegras for $15 now. It was 300 on release day.
yeah. I don't know. I
And
had
like
a kid.
legitimately selling for that.
Yeah,
Laffy on release day, legitimately selling for that.
yeah,
It's cooled, right?
yeah,
It's definitely cooled since then. I don't
yeah.
think we're gonna see Fantilli or Cooley going for $300. I am curious though, like, do you have a guess as to what maybe those two might be going for on release day? I think I got a decent guess. I could see Fantilli going in the $80 range and Cooley probably in the 50 to 50-ish dollar range on release
Mm,
day. I could see that kind of being, the price for the first couple days that this stuff comes out.
I would think Fantilli would probably be like more than $150. That would be my guess. And I feel like
Oh,
that's kind of
no
aggressive considering it's
chance.
like what I don't know, man. Release
I
date
don't even know if it's
prices.
gonna hit 100, dude.
I don't know, man, because I feel like it is the young gun to collect in that. Obviously, people are gonna be buying the box for Bedard, but
What was the top young gun in Series 1?
uh well, Bedard,
No, Series
right?
1.
Oh,
That was in
Series
Series
2.
2. It was like
Da-da-da.
Luke Hughes, Matthew Nyes, like,
I
those were
think it
the
was
top
well,
chases.
dude, Luke Hughes is still like a what, 30, $40 youngin? He was going for like $100, no?
No, he was like
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
no
man.
chance, no chance.
He's still going for $40, right? Or
No, I
30,
know, but
30,
that's
30.
that's like he was like a $60 card.
I don't know. I'm pretty
Nyes was
confident he
about
was
that,
going for I
60 to
think he was going
70.
for like 130. I'm telling you.
Let's put a
I'm telling
wager.
you.
Let's put a wager. What do you wanna put? 125?
Oof.
Is that your over under?
I'd probably put like I'll put like a beer on the line, like a few
What's your over
down the
under? Pick
road.
a number.
I'll say like I'll say over 115.
Okay, I'll take the under.
I'll take the over. And I'll say, are we saying on release day?
Like within 48 hours of release day, yeah.
Uh, okay, okay. I'll take that. I'm pretty confident with that. I'll take the
Okay.
over.
All
I'm
right,
good with
there
that.
you go. Here's the wager. Here's the bet.
Cheers. Michelob
Cheers.
Ultra, please.
Okay. All right, so there it is. That's the overview for extended series. If you guys are planning on buying one and you rip some cool stuff, tag me, tag us. We're on Instagram now, by the way, at Hockey Card Haven Pod. So you can tag us in everything that you rip open. I'd love to see it, and we'll share on the story and whatnot. All right, Anthony, it's time for some show and tell time. Some
Yeah,
pickups from the weekend.
let's do it.
You had a big submission return,
Yep.
actually, that you want to share. Let me pull that up for you.
Yeah,
I have the
sweet.
video.
Yeah. Yep. Beauty. So me and Eric had a 73 card submission back. It was ridiculous. It was a lot of cards. Looking back, it made sense at the time to send this many, but it just kind of showed that the market's dropped since the expo. So maybe next year I'll have a different strategy. Maybe I'll go in a little bit harder during the November expo because there's still a lot of season left to be had. But I find the margins to be a little bit smaller right now considering
They
the
are.
market drop. But I mean, dude, some of these cards that came back and the video that you're about to play highlights some of the better cards that were from the submission. But some of these are big cards, man. And I feel like they should be going for more, and they're not.
Look at you. There
So,
was that
yeah,
two Zegrases, a Pedersen, came
yep.
back a PSA 10, a Heiskanen, a PSA 10, Glass,
Cody
Cody
Glass.
Glass,
Yep.
Inscription. Nice little
Inscription.
inscription,
Yep.
PSA 10. Vasilevsky, PSA 10. You correct that, didn't you? Or no, you got
Yeah. The Vasi was raw card review BGS 9.5.
not bad. You got Kel McCarr, PSA 10.
Yep.
Two Kel McCarr PSA 10s. Hey, you gotta sell that Chucky. Mikko
I know.
Rantanen, PSA 10. Leon Draisaitl, what do you do with that bad boy?
Young Guns Canvas got it right here. I don't know, man. He's hurt right now. I don't think he's playing too well. I got an offer for it actually that I kind of want to sleep on it and see, but I don't love it. So
Profit
I might hold
profit
on to it. I might have
profit.
to.
Profit's profit, brother. Just keep that
That's
in
true.
mind.
Yeah,
Profit's
that's true.
profit. What else you get in this submission here? Oh, nice little clear cut of Trevor Zegras. You big on Zegras?
Yeah, I'm big on
You're
that.
picking up a couple.
I got a bunch aside right now. Where did I go? I got it right here. Like
Oh,
I really think that if he finds himself playing for the Montreal Canadiens next year, like people have mentioned,
yeah.
it could be big. It could be really big. Like I got
What-
a couple of his PSA 10s. I got the Future Watch, and then I don't know. You just saw I have the other Future Watch and the clear cut as well. But I feel like his
Question
market
for you.
decline.
This Gunther, did you crack this? And was this a resub?
This was just like a raw pickup. Like I picked it up in maybe early April at a show. I think I paid like $75. It was not a crack.
Oh, Connor McDavid clear cut.
Yeah, that was cool too. That's a cool one actually too.
What made you submit that?
I picked it up for it was thrown into a deal with one of the Zegras Future Watches. So I bought the Zegras Future Watch, and the difference between the price that we were at, the guy was like, "Look, just take this McDavid Young Guns clear cut." And I actually graded
Our young
the
guns now. Let's
or
relax.
sorry, late night, early morning waiting for me. I got that card technically for free, and I was like, you know what? I've graded it before. I graded the same card I think a year ago or a year and a half ago. Got a 10. So I felt like, you know what? Maybe I have an eye for it. Sent it off, and it might not be the difference between a massive profit in the submission, but it'll definitely help. So that was kind of my thought process. And it's McDavid too, right? McDavid short print.
Oh, it's interesting because I know that I think it was last year actually, series 1 or 2. I did rip open an Austin Matthews. I never once thought about sending it off, but I guess
Yeah.
it is like a decent little short print. If you can get a
Yeah.
PSA 10, might even be a pop one. Is that a pop
Yeah.
one?
No, maybe it's like a pop 10. Actually, you'd
Oh,
be
pop.
surprised. Some of these like McDavid, not base, but like I've seen the speckled rainbow, the clear
Mhm.
cut, even like the exclusives of just the card, like the McDavid base, if we want to call it card. They're graded, they're sold, and they're really popular. Like people complete almost the complete rainbow or the full set from all the
Oh,
years
yeah.
ever since he entered the league. So very
Pe-
popular.
People love their E-Pack and their E-Pack foil cards and all that.
Yeah.
People love it.
Yeah.
Speaking of grading, by the way, real quick piece of hobby news. Guess what happened since our last podcast?
What happened?
Jack Hughes has officially overtaken Kirill Kaprizov for the
Oh yeah.
most graded PSA 10s in hockey card history.
Wow.
Jack Hughes has a grand total of 5,248 PSA 10s, which is now 25 more than Kirill the Thrill Kaprizov. It is the highest pop count of any PSA 10 graded card in existence. Crazy.
That's ridiculous, man. But it kind of makes sense too. Like Hughes being a popular player, B, an easy player to grade in a sense. I mean, I've always had great success. I believe there was like one submission in November. I went like 7 for 7, and he's affordable too. So it makes sense that people grade him.
75% gem rate.
Yeah,
Really
exactly.
high gem rate. Like Kaprizov was
Yeah,
only 66%.
yeah,
Already in fourth place on this list, by the way, is Connor Bedard.
edgy.
All time graded PSA 10 hockey cards. Connor Bedard
And
with
he's climbing,
3,699.
and he'll
And
climb.
EPAC finally came out. EPAC unannounced came out last week. And now that it's out, we're going to see a lot more Connor Bedard cards get sent off. I guarantee you, because you can basically go from your EPAC from your eBay account onto ComC, and then ComC can send it directly to grading. So we're
Yeah,
going to see a bunch more
that's
trickle
pretty
in.
sweet.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that one because, as I said, by the time series 1 comes out next year, I do believe that Connor Bedard will be the highest graded PSA 10 card in existence, and it's not
Yeah,
going to take that long for that to happen. Now that EPAC's out, That's where I expect the big second rush to come here. I had a really fun weekend actually when it came to pickups. I picked up a bunch of stuff, not just hockey. Uh, I'll just show you pretty much my hockey though, just so that I don't take forever to do things. But there was, geez, so I went back to Niagara Friday and I stopped off at two different card stores on the way. Actually, three different card stores, but only bought at two different ones on the way back. I also went to one in Buffalo yesterday.
Oh yeah.
And then I also hit up a yard sale on Saturday and got a bunch of stuff. So that was a lot of fun. So I'll show you the pickups that I got. This was random. It was just a Alexander Frolov Glacial Graphs from
I like
UD
that jersey.
Ice. Yeah, it's pretty sweet. I mean, Frolov was a beast for a couple of years there in LA. Got this pickup, nice little Quinn Hughes Allure red rainbow jersey rookie. Nice little rookie card. Quinn Hughes jersey.
$25 is pretty good.
Yeah. Nice pickup. And here's a nice little Joseph Wall PSA 9 Young Guns of Joey Wall. Picked that up in Buffalo, New York, actually, of all places.
I
Picked
like
that
it.
one up at the card store in Buffalo. And I picked up this really cool. Actually, I'm going to grab it really quickly. You know about it. I showed you, or I sent you photos. But this was part of a big lot that I picked up. Yeah. This really cool Wayne Gretzky. I don't know if anyone else knows much about this. It's technically a McDonald's release, but I've seen the cards before, but I've never seen the binder. Ever in my life have I seen the binder and what's inside the binder. So it literally, it's Wayne Gretzky's commemorative hockey cards. And it's from 1999, and it has 10/10/79, so literally his debut, to 4/18/99, which was obviously when he retired, his last game. And then it's got all of his accomplishments right here, every record he owns here. And then he's got his 10 most important records. So most goals, 894, with a card that accompanies it when he scored that goal. Same thing here. Most goals in one season, 92, with a card accompanying from that season. And basically there's a card that accompanies every single record that he has. Most points in his career, most points in one season, most assists. Like, it's just really, really cool because there's also a little blurb down there.
Yeah.
And it's just an awesome piece that I've never seen before. I've seen the cards chilling in dollar bins, but I've never seen it in the binder like this. And I thought it was so cool. I just had to pick it up. No idea what the value is on it, but I would imagine that a Gretzky collector of some kind would find that pretty sweet.
That is sweet.
So yeah, it's that was one pickup. There's also another like hockey binder full of 90s stuff that's like this thick of like 91, 92 upper deck, just like regular upper deck. Had like Nick Lidstrom, Peter Forsberg. Who else's rookie was in there? There's a couple other players. Teemu Selanne. Just some cheap, couple dollars here and there type of card. So that was kind of a cool find. And then there was a bunch of Pokemon that was also included in that lot, which was kind of cool. But yeah, so that was pretty much all the hockey pickups that I grabbed. I grabbed a bunch of other stuff, like I said, Pokemon, football, and whatnot. But it was fun. I had like 3 separate days where I had pickups, and I enjoyed them all. This upcoming weekend's a busy one in the hobby. Anthony, what's your plan? You hitting up that CSC show in Markham?
I'm gonna try. So I have a golf tournament Saturday. I got my tee off time today. It's 11:30, I believe. So I'm dialed in for that. I'm going to try to come to the trade night, but I'm also orchestrating a little bit of poker night with the boys. I told you about it. I'm going to see, what time people want to come at. We're trying to figure it out. So I don't know if I'll be able to go the Saturday. The Sunday, I think I'm going to come no matter what. I'm going to try to make it out. Either way, I've heard nothing but good things about this upcoming show. I know in the past I've been there at this Markham one. It's been great. A lot of nice people. and it is a Worlds Collide show. So a little bit of TCG, a little bit of comics, a little bit of sports cards. So it's a little bit of everything. So if you are in the area, even if you don't collect anything, just come by because you might find something that you do like. So
It,
definitely
it
fire it up.
it's kind of like an Expo Light in a
Yeah.
way. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of like that. It's not obviously as massive as the Expo, but it's got a similar feel to it.
Yeah.
I'm going to be there on Saturday. It is a 2-day event for those
Yeah.
who are wondering. So Saturday and Sunday in Markham. What's the venue again? I can't remember what the building's called.
I can pull it up.
We can pull it up really quickly, but so that's my Saturday plan, and then Sunday I'm setting up at the M&L show in St. Catharines at the Holiday Inn. So that's my plan. Doing a attending the show on Saturday, and then hopefully I can sell the cards that I buy the next day
That's
on the
actually sure.
Sunday, and
The
then do a Lee side show as well on Sunday in Toronto.
so the information actually shout out my boy Eli, who's kind of in the middle of this frame. I just wanted to move so that you could see the time. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter, but it is at the Toronto slash Markham Hilton,
Yeah, it's
and he's kind of cutting out the hours a little bit, but I believe it's 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. with an 8
yeah,
p.m. trade night on the Saturday.
yeah. So if anyone makes it out, enjoy. If you see Anthony or I walking around, stop us, say hello, say what up.
Yep.
Would love to hear from you
Yep.
guys.
Yep.
And a reminder that I am hosting my own trade night next month, July 23rd. It's going to be in Niagara. It's going to be in St. Catharines at Decoux Brewery. So we'll have some food, some drinks, and we'll buy, sell, trade some sports cards and TCGs. So it should be a lot of fun if anyone is either in the Niagara area or wants to come out for the night. It's Tuesday, so it is a kind of a work night, if you will. But if anyone wants to, it's going to be a lot of fun. So I think we're doing a couple giveaways as well, if that is enough to get people out the door, perhaps. All right, buddy. That'll do it for us here today on the podcast. I'd like to thank you all for listening and supporting the show. You could subscribe right here on YouTube. Like we said, eventually we do plan to get going audio-wise for those on-the-go listeners. But for now, subscribing to us on YouTube is the best way to support us. We'll be back with another episode next Wednesday. You've been listening to the Hockey Card Haven podcast.